There is a lot of expensive sports. Like if you want to go skiing, you gotta pay $500-600 in just equipment. Then you have to go to the resort and buy a ticket. Or if you want to play hockey, you need around $2,000 in equipment because it's very expensive. These are expensive sports, but compared to the most expensive sports in the world, they're nothing. The most expensive sport in the world is Formula One. To compete in Formula One, there is no thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands. You gotta go above millions. We're gonna start from the most interesting part, the car itself. You guys probably seen Formula One crashes. It's very common, and the parts break very easily, especially the front splitter or the front wing. This piece you're seeing is the front wing, and it could break with the smallest impact. It's very close to the ground, and breaking it is not that hard. You might even break it by hitting a simple bump. Like in 1 year of competing, the team has to change this front wing several times. What is the price? This complete carbon fiber front splitter has a price of 150,000 pounds, and that's about $190,000. Every time it breaks, $190,000 is wasted. Do you know why it's so expensive? This is not an ordinary wing. Engineers have worked hundreds of hours to make this work properly. It should not only be aerodynamic, but cause an insane amount of downforce. That's the reason it's really expensive, not just because of the carbon fiber. Anytime a Formula team breaks one of these, they could basically buy a Bentley Continental with it. This was really expensive, so let's see something that's a little cheaper, a piece that you don't really see. The under tray. This piece makes the car aerodynamic, and it basically covers everything up so air just channels through it instead of hitting body parts. This is the under tray, and it's a lot cheaper than the one before. 58,000 pounds, and that's $75,000. With the cost of this under tray, you could buy a brand new BMW M3. If you want to build a complete Formula One car, it's going to cost you more than $7.5 million. This is nothing. They pay that and bring it into the race. But if they actually race, a lot of things are gonna break and they have to be repaired. It's not like a car is gonna compete and nothing will break. From mechanical parts like the engine and transmission, electronic parts, wheels and tires, brakes, and all the body part are gonna break and they need to be changed. The under tray wasn't cheap, so let's move on to the next part, the transmission. Even though it's expensive, it's gonna break and it needs repairs and maintenance. Whenever something breaks, it's immediately replaced. It's not like they're gonna take it to the mechanic in the middle of the race. So how much is this gearbox? It's not that bad, $950,000. Every F1 car has a telemetry software that keeps track of the health of the Formula One car. How is the engine doing? How is the transmission doing? Or other things. The driver should not keep an eye for these things. They got the team for that. The driver should focus on driving. With the price of this, you could buy a brand new Nissan GTR. It's around $95,000 for this system. I'm tired of spending money, so let's move on to the next part, the steering wheel. A lot of people think that the steering wheel is really expensive. Yes, it's very expensive, but compared to the rest of the parts, it's very cheap, $65,000. Now I'm gonna give you a figure, and you guess for what part it is. $1,250,000. Did you guys comment? The engine? The braking system? No, this is the monocoque. A complete carbon fiber monocoque. So if all this is this expensive, how much is the engine? A Formula 1 engine cost around $4.5 million. You pay $4.5 million for this engine, or you buy a giant house in one of the best parts of the world. And then you will have some leftover cash to buy a Ferrari FXX to put in the garage. I'm not gonna waste any more time. The braking system is $190,000. The rear wing, $120,000. What about the exhaust system? $220,000. If you put all that together, it's gonna cost more than $7.5 million. And that's only the price of the car. We have the money, but we can't compete in Formula 1 because we only have the car. The team that's required to make this machine work and actually compete depends on the sponsorship, and the team could cost around $200 million. So for one season I'm competing, for all the workers that work on the car behind the scenes and in the front line, it could cost upwards of $200 million. So 7.5 is just a small piece of it. Like the Red Bull team for the year 2018 paid more than $183 million for the team. That's just for one championship. The next year, they're gonna get the same bill. So how much does the team get? The chief, or basically the manager of the whole team, gets about $1 million a year. The fuel guy gets about $350,000 a year. The people that change the tire, each of them get around $350,000. It's not like each worker gets that much money. It's because they have a very important job, and the smallest mistake could cost the race. But the regular workers don't have a salary like that. Like the fire extinguisher guy that just stands there with a fire extinguisher only has a salary of $30,000. What about the driver? How much does he get? Someone like Lewis Hamilton, which is considered the best driver of all time, gets about $40 million a year. But that's not every driver, but the drivers do get a hefty amount. Like Fernando Alonso gets about $20 million a year. My mind is blown because I always thought sailing was the most expensive sport in the world, but that's around $100 million a year. But now I realize that Formula 1 is up there. So you might ask, who pays all this money? The sponsors, especially the main sponsor. Like Red Bull pays for most of the Red Bull team, and the main reason is advertisement, because the whole car has the logo. Or Petronas pays for most of the team. There are winners too. Who gets the prize? Does the sponsor get the prize? No, the sponsor doesn't get it. The prize is divided between the teams. There's no exact figure, but it's more than $100 million.